Hey everybody, Eric Swithin here with Outdoor Adventures, coming to you pre-recorded from the Maury Cancer Center out here in Columbia, Tennessee. And just reminds me of what it means to truly live by faith. If we believe that God's plan is best for our lives, if we're willing to obey Him and follow His lead, He is going to take us on a wild adventure. And so that is where the Swithin family is at right now. We are on a wild adventure, living out of our suitcases and really just taking it day to day. We have no idea what's coming next. And we are doing our absolute best to obey God and just live by faith as we tow our little kids around and show them this part of the country. So just to update you, for the month of January, I wanted to just share with you, even in the midst of all this craziness, God is moving through Outdoor Adventures more than He ever has before. And He's opening up doors left and right. I feel like I'm following breadcrumbs, and He keeps giving us these little hints and clues that we are right where we're supposed to be. For example, my wife is at a park the other day with the kids, and she ends up meeting someone, and they immediately become friends, just an instant connection sort of thing. And so we find out what church she goes to, and we end up going to that church for a couple weeks now and starting to plant ourselves in that church, feeling led to be at that church. It's called Woodmont Baptist Church. And as it turns out, they have a single moms ministry at this church. They, like us, believe that single mothers are the 21st century's version of the widow. And we're just finding all these crazy connections. The house that we're looking to buy across the creek is a kids camp that's also connected to the church. It's just unbelievable, these connections. You can call it coincidence, but we know, because we're not statistically challenged, that God's providence, it can be seen. If we're paying attention, we could see His sovereignty. We see how He moves, and we get these little bitty clues that, yes, we are right where we're supposed to be. So as an update, I want you to know God is opening up doors all over the place. We are pursuing relationship with a camp out in Jackson, Tennessee, with a fatherless ministry in Atlanta, and with an inner city ministry in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I am pretty sure, about 99% sure, we are going to purchase a home in Florence, Alabama. In fact, a month ago, I didn't even know what Florence, Alabama was, didn't know where it was. And we still don't know much about it, but we believe that is where the Lord is leading us. And interestingly, it's right next to Mississippi. It's right next to Tennessee. It's right next to Alabama. We are right next to Appalachia, and it's sort of a central location for winter operations. So as you can see out here, it's hot and sunny. It's probably 60 degrees. I'm sweating in this light jacket. And we foresee Outdoor Adventures being able to do a ton more events and activities during the winter time, and then turning around and heading out to Colorado for the summer. In fact, we were just approved by the National Forest for permits for the whole summer pretty much, and we're almost already booked up. In fact, we're maxing out the number of permits we can have out there. So we are thinking what the Lord is doing is leading us to this side of the country in the winter and allowing us to do ministry out in Colorado in the summer. So that's pretty exciting. And even with all this stuff going on, I just want you to know we have an event coming up on March 2nd in Texas. We have another event coming up April 16th to 18th at Lake Georgetown. And we also have TBRI, so Trust-Based Relationship Intervention Training, May 7th to 8th. That's going to be in Pagosa Springs. Our ministry partner, Psalm 68:5, was kind enough to send out an instructor, and we're inviting anybody from the town that works with youth. So if you work at a school, if you work with youth at a church, if you're plugged into a youth group, if you're a lay person that tends to serve youth or kids, this training might be really good for you. It teaches you how to minister to kids who have endured great trauma, how to speak to them, how to understand them, and it's going to be incredibly valuable. So as far as things to celebrate, we have a whole bunch of stuff that's taken place. We just had a snowboarding trip out in Colorado with some amazing kids. We just had an Appalachian Trail hike. That was by Fernwood Outdoors out in Baltimore, Maryland. They hit the Appalachian Trail for a little bit or near there and spent some time with some great kids. And then we also just had an event in Texas at Brazo Bend State Park. And so more than ever, our ministry is busy, 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 and we're doing our best to identify leaders around the country who have received the call to tend to the needs of the fatherless. And Outdoor Adventures is committed to supporting those ministry leaders, blessing them, doing whatever we can to help them accomplish what God is asking them to accomplish. And so honestly, even in the midst of dealing with my dad's cancer, in the midst of putting our house on the market in Pagosa Springs, in the midst of trying to find a place to stay here, currently we're just renting week to week at vacation rentals and again living out of a suitcase. Even in the midst of all this craziness, God is on the move, and it's exciting stuff. So we are not in the business of just creating programs and asking God to bless those programs. We are in a discernment phase right now, and we could really use your prayers. More than anything else, we could use your prayers to discern exactly what God is doing in and around Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi area, Georgia, who we should be meeting with, what these connections will look like, what camps we could partner with, how we're going to start plugging kids in and start developing mentorship relationships for those kids. And we do not want to jump the gun. We want to be wise and discerning. We want to see what the Lord is doing and then partner with Him in that. So if you could just pray that we have the patience and the discernment to know which way to go and how to do it best, that'd be amazing. Other prayer requests, if you can continue to pray for my dad, sort of a miracle what's happened. I mean, he was on his deathbed about 2 weeks ago. We were saying our goodbyes. I mean, it was imminent in our minds, and he ended up getting fixed up on an antibiotic, and God healed him through that. I mean, he came back from the dead. And then a couple days later, he gets another PET scan, and we find out that the chemo is killing his cancer. So stage 4 cancer, he had 3 months to live, 6 months to live, and now they're talking like he might have 5 years. So please continue to pray for him. He's right now getting fixed up for his first radiation treatment tomorrow. He'll have a bunch of radiation over the next couple weeks, and they're hoping that's going to minimize the cancer too. So we're just praying that God would give him some more time, see his grandbabies grow, and serve God in the remaining years that he has, now that he's retired as a 65-year-old. And so if you can join me in that, that'd be amazing. Also, please know that we need more funding for a couple of things. One of them is our event that's coming up at Lake McDonald, I believe, in April. Lake Georgetown, excuse me. We are sponsoring kids for $45 a pop. That's a 2.5-day event. They get to rappel, they get to hike and backpack and camp and eat amazing food and be surrounded by godly men that want to be their spiritual fathers. So that's a pretty dang good deal. $45 for a kid, and that pays for the gear, that pays for the food, that pays for the whole thing. That would be really amazing if you could help out with that. We're also still looking for money for our scholarship fund for some of our long-term students. Kids that have been pouring into us and us into them for years. These are kids that need a little help up, a hand up with college expenses and getting on their feet in that regard. So that's definitely a need. And then apart from that, I just want to leave you with this. We are absolutely doing our best during this crazy time to continue pursuing the Lord with all of our heart. And I hope you are too. You're a part of this family. Please, even in the midst of the craziness, things that are going on politically, with the craziness of COVID, with all the uncertainty that looms, just know that now, more than ever, in my heart, I have an urgency to serve the Lord, and I have an urgency for the family of God to rise up and to be the church. And how do we be the church? How will everybody in this world know that we are followers of Jesus, that Jesus is our Lord. How? Well, the Bible's very clear. By the way we love one another, by the way we pour ourselves out as an offering into the lives of the broken and the hurting, living the gospel, not just speaking it, being examples of God's love. And then first and foremost, loving the Lord with all of our heart, mind, strength, and soul, like truly pursuing Him with everything we got. Now is not the time to go to sleep. Now is not the time to wallow in politics and wallow in all the things that we're doing. Now is the time to mobilize. Now is the time to pray hard. Now is the time to pursue holiness. Now is the time to get on board with God's mission. So thank you so much for being family. Thank you for partnering with us in this endeavor. We are committed and more fired up than we've ever been. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.